President Obama has nominated Chuck Hagel, Senator Chuck Hagel, for Secretary of Defense, and it must be stopped. Already some of the senators are caving, bowing down to Obama on this. Hagel's a very dangerous nomination for the world, for Israel, and for appeasing Iran. I'm just going to go over a list of some of the horrible things he's done. He's made all kinds of outrageous anti-Semitic statements, anti-Israel statements, pro-Iranian statements. It's a disastrous pick, and you can think whatever you want about Obama and his views of the world and why he wants to do this, but the Senate still has to confirm him, and you should besiege your senator's offices with complaints. I have the full list at my blog, proisrael.blogspot.com, for January 16th. But here are some of the items. He has consistently argued for appeasing our enemies and deserting our friends. He has a long history of standing on the wrong side of foreign policy decisions. On Syria, he failed to stand up for American interests. And I'm going to start with the most recent items, and I'll tell you some of the events. In 1998, he returned from a meeting with Hafez Al-Assad, assessing Assad as a peace partner. In 2003, he did not vote for the Syria Accountability Act. He was only one of 4 senators out of 100 not to vote for that. In 2006, after Hezbollah attacked Israel, he called on Bush to reward the terror groups by engaging in direct, open talks with its sponsors, Iran and Syria. In 2008, he sought to further encourage the terror-sponsoring Syrian regime by returning the U.S. ambassador to Damascus. In 2009, he continued to view Assad through benign-colored glasses, called for direct U.S.-Syria talks at the highest levels. On terrorism, he has favored reducing pressure on terrorist groups and their sponsors, but has shown no reluctance to heap blame on Israel and the U.S. In 1998, he blamed Israel for peace impasse by saying Israel has essentially stopped the process and excused Palestinian violence. He excused Palestinian violence. In 2000, October, he was one of only 4 senators out of 100 who refused to sign a letter expressing support for Israel during the Intifada of the Palestinians. In 2001, he was one of 11 senators who refused to sign a letter requesting Bush not to meet with Arafat until Arafat ceased attacks on Israel. In 2002, said he would have opposed a House resolution that blamed Arafat and Palestinians for terrorism. In 2002, on CNN, he refused to call Yasser Arafat and insisted that Arafat had a constructive role to play in the peace process. In 2002, in June, after 2 years of Palestinian suicide bombings and terror attacks, he told an anti-Israel conference the U.S. alliance with Israel should not come at the expense of the Palestinians, and the U.S. must impose an endgame on Israel and the Palestinians. In 2004, he refused to sign a letter asking the UN not to support an international course of justice on Israel's security fence, which stopped the entry of suicide bombers into Israel and saved countless lives. 79 senators signed that letter. In 2005, he was one of only 27 senators who refused to sign a letter to the president requesting the U.S. pressure the Palestinians to ban terrorist groups from participating in the legislative elections. And the list goes on and on and on. You can read the entire list. He complained about the Jewish lobby. In 2009, he signed a public letter urging Obama to open direct negotiations with Hamas, a terrorist group. In 2009, in an interview on Al Jazeera, he agreed the U.S. is the world's bully. On Iran, he sought to protect Iran from U.S. sanctions and diplomatic pressure. In 2001, he denounced proposed sanctions on Iran, asserting they isolate us. In 2001, he voted against the Iran-Libya Sanctions Act, which passed 96-2. In 2007, he sent a letter to President Bush urging direct, unconditional talks with Iran. In 2007, he declined to join 72 senators in supporting a bipartisan sanctions bill called the Iran Counter-Proliferation Act. In 2007, he opposed 76 senators in voting against designating Iran's Revolutionary Guard a terrorist organization. In 2008, he was cited as solely responsible for holding up a bipartisan Iran sanctions bill in the Senate that had 72 co-sponsors. This man is the only U.S. senator who refused to sign an American Jewish committee ad in the New York Times asking Russian President Boris Yeltsin to combat anti-Semitism in Russia in 1999. In 2008, in an interview with author David Miller, he used the well-tested anti-Semitic trope, the accusations of dual loyalty. The political reality is that the Jewish lobby intimidates a lot of people up here, he said. Let me clear up something if there's any doubt. I'm not an Israeli senator, I'm a United States senator. The guy's an anti-Semite. He's anti-Israel. He's pro-Iran appeasement. He is a disaster. and for the president to nominate him as Secretary of Defense. He's flatly ruled out any kind of military options against Iran, which invites war. It doesn't deter war. The guy must be stopped. You should besiege your senator's office. I have the address. I'll have the address here on this video, and in my blog, rabbireflects.blogspot.com for January 16th, of how to contact them. He must be stopped.